This is my video about how the culture of dhaqan is very detrimental to the culture of Somali. Because if you really consider the culture surrounding dhaqan and everything around it, if you really break it down, you'll see that it's nothing more than a way for the parents to control their children. And if they can't control them while they're abroad in these foreign countries that they immigrated to initially because they were trying to run away from the 1992 Civil War, then of course they're going to look to retain their culture and try to influence their children to become model Somali children, which is to follow the religion that the parents brought them up with. But at the same time, they don't set their children like Somali parents. Historically, the father isn't really around. He's somewhere far in a foreign country, getting married to another wife, breeding more children. Probably doesn't really have a very good source of income because he's not a hard worker. He tends to run around the country and run back to Somalia for frequent trips to make more babies and to have more families running around the place, which is not good for functioning Somalis because you're creating more children where you can't really invest time into those children. You're just creating more children because you're selfish and you want to have a lot of wives because you feel that you're very selfish. You're very selfish. That's the mentality that goes on. This is how it works over there. So, but like seriously, dude, this is how it works. The father, the Somali father, comes. The Somali man, he comes. Typically, this is how it works. He immigrates from Somalia and he goes to Europe. He takes his first wife with him or his second wife, doesn't really matter, takes them to England or the Netherlands or Sweden. That's where typically where most Somalis go. Scandinavia, Europe, or England or Western Europe. You won't see many Somalis in Russia or Eastern Europe because that's not where the benefits are. That's not where the money is. But anyways, that's besides the point. My point is that after the Somali parents, after all this trouble they've been through, all this madness, they failed to set their child up for success in Western countries. Education isn't always a big factor in these households. The mother, she's trying to do her best, but she's really under equipped because she has so many kids running around everywhere. Hard to divert a lot of attention. Maybe she goes to work, she hasn't got a lot of time to like teach the kids and stuff like that. And there's a whole system in England where Somalis are trying to take advantage of the benefit system over there in the UK. They couldn't run that system in Europe because Mark Rutte, he told the minister to look into Somali people that are taking advantage of the benefit system here in the Netherlands. So they couldn't do that here. So then they immigrated to the UK because has a less stringent system in place to catch fraud. So that's another thing that Somali people tend to do when they come to the UK. Yeah, and there's a whole culture around arranged marriages and stuff like that, and FGM and female genital mutilations, decades of civil. But let's not even get over there. Let's just focus on Dakan Alice for now. So let me explain the whole process now that I've explained the background and the motives for the parents for doing these types of things. The child, he smokes weed, drinks alcohol, runs around outside all day. Then the parents say, "Oh, wiilka faraha ku baxay wuu aalade wax walba uu sameynaa mana maqlaya." That means he's not listening to us. He's doing whatever he wants. Okay, but look, the reason why he's doing that is because you're not parenting him properly. You're just doing whatever you're doing, and he's doing whatever he's doing without any guidance. Then the parents they say, "Oh, let's send him back to Somalia." Okay, how is that going to solve the problem? Most people it doesn't. More than likely, it doesn't solve the problem. It's just that the parents really hope that it does, but it doesn't. Send them back to Somalia, a shithole. They send them to a shithole. They send them to a boarding school where they get beaten up all the time and possibly sexually assaulted, which a lot of women are being sexually assaulted over there. And then how long does he stay there typically? 2 years, 1 year, and then afterwards he comes out worse than he went in. So it's like, what was the point? You wasted a lot of money because you have to pay these boarding schools money each month for the child to live there so they can get food and stuff like that. But the money doesn't go towards food and the child. It typically goes back into their pockets. Very corrupt. Very high on the corruption list. Someone, it's a whole culture of lies, deceit, corruption. This is the negative side of Somalis. I mean, is there positives? There is a few, but not really, because if you look at the country, everything that I'm saying can be backed up with history. If you look at the country and the state that it's in, you'll be more likely to understand what I'm saying here. Like really, really look at what I'm saying and look at the country. Look at the country. So 30 years of civil war, still dealing with terrorist groups that are infiltrating your system. You can't deal with a small terrorist system in Somalia, which is only a fraction of what the people in Iraq have to deal with, and in Afghanistan. Not even close to 100%. But you pay these people from AMISOM to do the work that the Somali troops should be doing, and they're dragging their feet because they want to get paid and they want to keep that payment going. Yeah, it's a lot of things. I could talk for hours. There's really no point. Yeah, and dhaqan analysis typically doesn't tend to work. It ends up being a whole quandrum of just desperation, and the parents they start to hate the child more because they're starting to feel the money that they lost because they lost thousands of dollars. I mean, they start to like really hate the child, and that's not a good thing. I mean, if you hate your own child, then I mean that's not very good for their self-esteem and how they are going to mature as a person. So yeah,